So something I found really interesting, just from going back to the, is it the airport scene? Yeah, it's the airport scene because Butler has that like moment where he's scared of heights, and like Aunt Ava is like way, she comes across as way more nice and like really friendly and a bit of a joker, and then sort of like, I don't know, I feel like her, it's almost like her personality transformed.
It feels quite natural, in my opinion. Like if you like meet up with relatives for the first time in ages, it feels just like that. I feel.
You reckon?
Yeah. Like everyone's like got that like kind air on them, and they're like, oh, it's this relative I haven't seen forever. And they're all nice and happy. But you haven't been there in the last, what, 6 years and seen like what's going on behind the scenes, so
This is literally our family.
it's it's every family, in my opinion.
Okay. I see your point of view.
So after that, I mean, she argues with Natsuki in the first episode, doesn't she?
I don't think I got that far.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they still had like a bit of like, in, like.
Was it something to do with the tea? Because Shannon got in trouble for, was it Shannon or Cannon? One of them got in trouble for not
I think
knowing
it's Shannon.
the
Shannon? Shannon.
specific type of tea when someone asked. And then Natsuki got
Yeah.
annoyed because she was like, this is a disgrace, a dishonor on our household. I must
Dishonor on your
discipline and
cow.
reprimand.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And Natsuki in the beginning was always like, grandfather, grandfather, don't you disrespect grandfather.
Ji-chan. She would never say that. Alright, you ready?
I'm ready. I can feel the sticky dust on my screen. I don't know where sticky dust comes from. But for some reason it's attracted to my tablet. Ugh. Is Lion and Will, are they, or Willard?
Lion. He is Lion.
Leon. Ushiromiya Leon. Are they kind of like supposed to be like Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson?
Could be a... Yeah, it could be a thing, actually. The Watson is meant to be only slightly dumber than the reader. And then the Sherlock is just the Sherlock.
This is the all-knowing, all like encompassing detective. Because he's definitely the detective in this scenario.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Erica's not in this one, is she?
Erica's dead. They killed Erica.
She's dead? Because she's
They
in the
shot
movie.
her.
Wait, what?
Battler and Beatrice shot her in the duel. And Byrne was like, I'm not reviving this beast. And just left.
Okay. Poor Erica. No, not poor Erica. Erica's horrible. do not.
Excuse me. You're horrible.
She is.
She's done nothing wrong. She's a detective.
Are you saying the detective can do no wrong?
Yeah. She only killed a few people.
Oh my goodness. But that is wrong. That goes against the detective rules.
She wasn't the detective at the time.
Still abused powers, in my opinion.
Basically, there was no detective for that story, so you could say the story wasn't actually a mystery or something. It was just a story. Well, perhaps you could say it was a mystery just without a detective. I suppose those do exist. Anyway, let's start.
I've forgotten the voices already.
Yeah, it's whatever. My sick Will voice is going to be changing over the weeks.
True.
My voice gradually
to become
recovers.
a healthy Will.
A healthy Will? That sounds exactly like Battler.
Oh my goodness.
You are recording Audacity?
Yep, it's been recording this whole time.
Okay. The Yushiromya family members were relaxing here and there around the waiting room. A light buffet-style meal had been set up, but it was a bit stale and not particularly appealing. Natsuhi's gonna be mad at one of the servants because it's all
Sorry,
stale.
can you turn it down a little bit, please?
The game music?
Hang on, maybe, let me check what... No, mine's up really high, let me turn it down on my end.
Mine might be up higher than usual because... it's not that high. I'll turn it down a little bit.
Okay, that's better. Sorry, thank you. It was just a bit loud.
Even so, those voracious kids seemed to find it intensely interesting. The cousins had set up camp around it, with Maria at the center. The adult siblings had also formed a group in a different corner. Perhaps because of Kinzo's absence, everyone seemed to be a little more relaxed.
Leon! Oh my goodness. Where did you go? What happened to my voice? And who is that? Oh my goodness.
Mother!
Why did we not think of that? That would have been funny.
I don't know.
She doesn't. Is it a she or a he?
I don't know.
They? We'll just call them they. They don't give off they give off more of a well put together look than Natsuhi did in the beginning when we met her. She just had this look of like, oh! What was the voice?
I don't know.
Mother, I was entertaining this guest of ours. Well, this is my mother, Natsuhi.
No introductions needed. I can't. Man, my throat. Just tell me what you have to say.
Did you say something? No, he said nothing. This is Will's son. It seems he knew the deceased.
With a smile, Leon casually smoothed over Will's words.
He wants to know more about Beatrice. Do you know anything about her, Mother? Leon, the departed is an individual to whom the head owed a great debt. Nothing more, nothing less. This funeral is a ceremony for the head to repay his benefactor for all he received while that person still lived. That is what I have been told, and there is nothing more to it than that. Thanks, Mother. Well, that's all my mother knows.
Natsuhi was eager to deny the scandal about Beatrice being Kinzo's mistress. However, she also had enough sense to realize that this scandal was probably true. Picking up that Natsuhi was in a bad mood and didn't want to talk about this anymore, Leon brought an end to that conversation before Will could say something rude again.
Well, this chapel belongs to the family.
So you're telling me to follow the family's rules?
Speak in a manner appropriate for the guest of the family. Let me be the medium for all of your conversations. I ask that you follow those 2 rules.
I'll work on that.
The mess this Berncastle witch or whatever has dragged us into is a real pain. Because of that, I'm willing to help you. But we're equal partners in this job, and you'd best not forget that.
And here I thought you were just some well-bred rich kid. Seems you can speak up after all.
I must be prepared to shoulder the Ushirimiya family's future after all.
Got it. Let's solve this crime together, Watson. Well, there you go.
Oh, there we go! I'm glad I can help. I wouldn't want to keep your dear cat Diana waiting. Won't she need to be fed soon?
I gave her extra food today, so she should be good for a while. I'm surprised you realized Diana was a cat.
I figured it'd be just a bit too eccentric for her to be a human woman who scratches at sofas when you keep her waiting. So, who will you talk to first?
Anyone. Everyone. Those ones over there are Krause's siblings, right?
From right to left, there's Aunt Ava, Uncle Hideyoshi. Over there is Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Kirie. And over there is...
Ushirimiya Rosa. When she was a girl, she once got lost in the forest and bumped into a woman calling herself Beatrice in the hidden mansion.
I know I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but you really do know everything, don't you?
So, you know about that story too?
I managed to overhear her saying that today. It looked as though it was bothering her, so I pretended not to hear.
A real model student you are. Introduce me. I want to ask about it.
You're asking this of the model student who pretended not to hear it because it might be a painful topic?
Even this outrageous arrogance is nothing compared to Kinzo. After muttering this several times mentally, Leon shrugged and nodded at Will.
Oh, it's our successor summer, and who is this? Oh, Aunt Ava, this is Wilson. It sounds like Wilson. He came to offer flowers for the departed.
But who cares about that? Tell me everything you know about... Ah!
Leon's secretly one of the the bunnies. Boing, boing. He says he wants to know what sort of relationship the Ushiromiya family has had with the deceased.
Leon spoke with a bright smile after pinching Will's butt. Will silently protested as though saying, I saw that coming, but damn that hurt. But Leon just played dumb and smiled at Ava like a model student.
Well, even if you say relationship with the Ushiromiya family...
It probably makes more sense to say her relationship with father. And no need to beat around the bush. She was father's mistress.
If you call her that, Natsuhine-san will yell at you again. He's indebted to her, right?
Yep, that's right. Wahahaha.
Well, there you have it.
I have no interest in anyone but Rosa. Gah.
I do believe that you said you met Beatrice with Beatrice Aunt Rosa.
This whole
Sometime today.
Rosa had been hanging her head. Leon's words made her shoulders quiver. I didn't mention it before, but like...
This is a nice song.
Yeah, episode 7 has like a lot of nice new tracks. Like, from 5 and 6 there's only like a few new songs, but I feel like episode 7 has like the most new songs in it.
I wonder why that is. Oh, sorry, I just realized. Okay. She just suddenly came out with it today. It's a bit hard to believe.
It's the truth. I killed Beatrice. Perfect. Our work here is finished. Just leaves.
We have a culprit and a confession.
I skipped your line there.
That's Leon's line?
Yeah, Leon.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Rosa broke down crying and laid her head on the table. Kirie and Hideyoshi tried to console her.
Rikkenjima is covered by a dense forest. We only know about one tiny portion of it. Just the mansion, the rose garden, and the little path that leads to the harbour.
For years, there's been stories about how Dad built a hidden mansion somewhere in the vast forest that no one knew about, and that he had a mistress living there. Rosa-san probably stumbled upon the hidden mansion by chance.
However, what does this have to do with Aunt Rosa killing Beatrice?
If I hadn't taken her out with me, she never would have died. She was so innocent, like a chick. I took her out and she followed along obediently. She stayed right behind me, trusting me completely, and because I made her take such a dangerous path. Did you make her walk that way because you were hoping she'd slip and fall from a cliff? I never meant to do that. I just thought she'd like to see the ocean. No. It just looked like the path would be hard to walk. And I thought it would be easier going if we went down the cliff first. That's not what it means to kill someone. It was an accident. An accident she never would have had if I hadn't brought her with me, right? It's my fault. And then I abandoned her when she was covered in blood and ran home. It isn't your fault.
That doesn't make any sense.
What's that?
Sorry to interrupt. Like, if she died then when Rosa was a child, why are they mourning her death now? Do you know what I mean?
We'll find out. It isn't your fault. Beatrice had never seen the ocean before. You showed her that for the first time ever. She was probably so excited that she just happened to take a bad step. How can you know that? Beatrice might thank you for what you did, but she would never hate you. Really? Is that really true? She's the one who begged to see the world outside the fence, right? Though it was only for a short while you made that dream of hers come true. If I were Beatrice, I'd thank you for that short bit of time. If she knew that you have been struggling or suffering all this time for it, she'd probably feel sorry for you. Beatrice is grateful for what you did. You're the one who taught her that the sea is blue. Whoever heard that before? Is that true? I guarantee it. Will made that statement openly and boldly. It wasn't clear how Rosa took those words. However, it had apparently been enough to remind Rosa to take a handkerchief out of her pocket and wipe her eyes with it. Thank you. Those are the words Beatrice is whispering to you, even now. Thank you. Rosa wiped her eyes with the handkerchief one more time and hung her head. It no longer looked like a fit of sobbing, but more as though she was speaking with the Beatrice of that day within her heart. One last time.
You really have no problem making claims you could never back up, don't you?
Back up? Is that really necessary to comfort a woman?
It seems I underestimated you.
How many years did it torment Rosa? Now, finally, she would probably be able to face that innocently smiling Beatrice, who had seen the ocean for the first time in her life. She was the only one who could forgive Rosa. Now the two of them could finally speak together. I don't know who you are, but thank you. I wonder if she'll forgive me. You've worried about it for nearly 20 years. That's far too long. She'd tell you that you've suffered more than enough already.
That's right, Aunt Rosa. The sadder you are, the sadder Beatrice would be.
You too. Thank you. I don't know if I'll be forgiven, but I'll keep on speaking to my heart to see whether she'll forgive me or not. Thanks, you two. Sorry for showing you such an embarrassing side of me. And I'm sorry to say this right after saying something so pretty, but I want you to talk to me. Tell me what happened back then.
Wilson!
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 Thanks, but it's fine. I'll talk. Hiding this and keeping quiet about it for so long might have been my greatest sin. Exactly when was it that you met Beatrice? Upon hearing this question, Rosa closed her eyes lightly, reaching back to a past she didn't want to remember. It was about 20 years ago. 20 or... wait, it might have been 19 or 18 years ago. I'm sorry. I've tried to force myself to forget it for so long that I've nearly forgotten that part completely. It should have been 1967. Renove had guaranteed that with the Red Truth in the third game. That's right. It was probably about 1967. I can remember what happened as clearly as a picture. I'll never forget.
If it's tough for you, don't feel like you have to tell us.
Yes, clear as a picture if you don't mind. Ah! Damn it, that hurts, Leon.
What does?
the time, I was in a state of shock, since my tutor told Mother about something that was supposed to be a secret. On that day, I became reckless and I kept on running deeper and deeper into the forest. This tale has also been told in a previous fragment. Back when Rosa was just a kid, she went deep into the forest, found a hidden mansion, and met with a mysterious woman who called herself Beatrice.
But that forest is so thick, even pushing your way through a bit of it is hard, right?
I even surprised myself. To think that I made it so far into such a dense forest. I was tormented by twigs and sharp leaves over and over again. However, that wasn't enough to bother me on that day. After all, I wanted to disappear into the forest and vanish forever. If, by some chance, there really was a witch's mansion in the depths of the forest, I hoped that she might take me to some paradise or else turn me into a frog and make me a resident of the forest. So, you then reached the mansion, Kuadorian, and met a woman who called herself Beatrice. Yes, I met her. Was that Beatrice the same as the one in the portrait? Yes, they were the same person. Beautiful blue eyes, golden hair, a black dress. It truly was the person in that portrait. When Father first had it hung, I realized that the 20 years I'd spent trying to forget must have seemed just as long to Father, if not even longer, and I became even more fearful of my sin.
Ooh, new background.
Background? We've been in this background for the past, what,
I only just
30
noticed
minutes?
the details. I was more focused on the words.
We're in the chapel lobby, I think.
Stop there. Are we sure that this is the same Beatrice that Rosa-san met?
Immediately, Kirie spoke the question that Will had been thinking of. It would be too rash to assume that the Beatrice Kinzo met and the one Rosa met were the same person. The time and generation didn't match up. Beatrice is supposed to be that lady of leisure who lent Dad all that gold shortly after the war, right? By using Beatrice's gold as a foundation, Father revived the Ushiromiya family and got super rich. Then he bought Rakenjima and moved over. Rosa-san meeting her must have been at least 10 years after that.
A woman who could do as she pleased with 10 tons of gold could hardly be some little girl, and 10 more years passed before she met Rosa. Rosa, about how old did the Beatrice you met look?
She looked older than I was at the time, but even so, it looked as though she might have just be reaching adulthood. Yes, just the sort of age of the Beatrice in the portrait. Did she look middle-aged or past her prime? If I had to call her an adult or a child, she was clearly closer to being a child. There's no way she was middle-aged.
And isn't that strange? We have the Beatrice you met and the Beatrice who gave Father the gold. But their ages don't match.
In other words, they're different people.
Different people who look very similar and have the same name.
It might have been her daughter. A kid would obviously end up looking like her mother.
His mistress's daughter. It is possible. Perhaps Father had an illegitimate child with the Beatrice who gave him the gold.
And then Rosa bumped into Beatrice II. That way the ages fit just fine.
I see. In other words, there are 2 people who can be called Beatrice.
Kinzo secretly raised his mistress's child in a hidden mansion. It made sense. Everyone nodded, agreeing. However, Will's expression was slightly unsatisfied, and he scratched at his head.
So it would seem that this funeral exists for the two Beatrices he couldn't mourn, because they were kept secret.
Rosa, I know you probably don't want to remember, but tell me about that accident. After Beatrice fell, was she still breathing?
No. Her eyes were opened wide. She fell upside down head first and knocked her head against a sharp crag on the rocky beach. And she fell from such a height. Her skull had split and caved inwards. That beautiful golden hair was stained red with blood almost instantly.
Was it the sort of wound that clearly showed that she was dead?
Yes, I saw the insides of her cracked head. It had caved in deep enough to fit your fist inside it.
Oh.
No one could have been naive enough to see that and still hope that she was alive.
Well, do you really need to ask anything more?
That's enough for the time of the accident. What did you do afterwards?
I dashed away at full speed. I can't say I was thinking about calling for help. I wanted to escape from that place as fast as I could. Half crazed, sobbing, and out of breath, I kept on running about at random. Eventually, I came across a familiar lion statue.
Oh, the one in front of the chapel?
No, the one behind it. Anyway, I made it back to the mansion. I couldn't tell anyone, and I didn't want to. I stayed quiet until nightfall. It was so horrible of me. If I had hurried and told someone, they might have brought her first aid kit, and she might have been saved.
How is a first aid kit gonna help with a crushed cranium? You didn't kill her. Don't worry about that anymore.
Then what did you do next?
That night, I turned over in my bed so many times. I couldn't sleep. Late that night, I quietly called Kenji-san on the phone and told him.
What did he say?
He told me to let him handle everything, and to speak of this to no one. I spent the next several days terrified that father would call for me and scold me brutally. But he didn't. Genji-san kept on doing his job quietly, just like normal. Father stayed locked up in his study, not knowing any of it.
At the very least, none of us ever heard about it.
Genji-san probably managed to clean everything up nicely.
After all, they couldn't let knowledge of that child go public.
Even if she was an illegitimate child, she was still his daughter by blood. It must have been tough for father not being able to hold a real funeral for her.
I suppose that's why we're having this funeral.
And then?
That's all I know.
And that's all I know too.
I'm not hiding anything else. I've told you everything. I swear it.
Will scratched at his head, letting his gaze wander. It had taken Rosa a lot of determination to make this confession, but it was nothing particularly special for Will. It had apparently been little more than a review of information he already knew.
Thanks, Aunt Rosa. Is that enough for you, Will? Are you satisfied?
That's enough. It was a nice review. To Will, Rosa's memories gave only information that was already known. This was the first time he'd heard all about her running back to the mansion after Beatrice fell to her death. But none of it was particularly surprising. Apparently, Rosa didn't know any more than this.
If he wanted to learn more than what was in the fragments Bernkastel gave him, he would need to find a new testimony. Leon, tell Kinzo that I want to talk to him. It looks like we won't get anywhere without asking the man himself.
Where are you going?
Off to cool my head and organize my thoughts. Don't follow.
Well then, pardon me. Please, take your time.
Well, excuse me.
You know in Japanese it'd be something like shitsure shimasu.
Nah, I think it'd be different.
You reckon?
Yeah. I can't think of it right now, but... After giving an elegant bow, Leon made a face, tongue sticking out. Unless Will had eyes on the back of his head, he couldn't have seen that last bit. Will returned to the chapel by himself. The cold air and the monotonous sound of the rain were comforting. So, how's the game going? I'm assuming. And he had come here for a little peace and quiet. As soon as he let out a sigh of relief, that voice rang out. That's my line. It was as though she had been sitting there all along. Bernkastel appeared on top of that altar once more. Beatrice's altar must have been extremely comfortable. Battler annoyed me over and over with his incompetence. You're quite competent compared to him, so it's much more relaxing to watch your work. Unlike Kushiremiya Battler's games, I have nothing standing in my way. It's easy. That sort of game has already ended. Tales can be enjoyed twice. First you love them, then you tear out their guts. So I'm a butcher now. So, do you think you figured out who killed Beatrice? Rose's confession is something I already knew from a previous game, or fragment. There was no brand new information. We're still at square one. Unless Ushiremiya Kinzo tells us what really happened, we won't get any further than this. Don't tell me that arguing with Kinzo and persuading him to spill the beans is supposed to be part of this game. That'd be fatally boring. Kinzo refuses to speak of the truth and is himself the king, protected by his castle. But it wouldn't be any fun to have that stand in the way of your game. I won't torture. It's not my style. I know. As the Game Master, I will grant you power, so that you can get the truth from Kinzo, of course. Still wearing shoes, Bernkastel stepped into the casket, picked up one of the flowers that had been set as offerings, and blew hard as though scattering fluff from a dandelion. Then a single petal broke off and drifted down towards Will. No longer gold, but with the shine of a transparent crystal. The detective's authority. What a pathetic ability. No, this is an invitation to the grandstands. Theater-going authority. That's supposed to be forbidden without authorization from the Senate. I'm the one giving it, on my game board. Who's going to stop me? Though the crystal flower petal danced in the wind, it wouldn't fly away until Will accepted it. He remembered how useless it was to argue with witches and snatched it up. When he did, the petal flashed brightly for an instant, melted into Will's palm and disappeared. Entertain me if you can, and try and enjoy yourself. You must also be interested in seeing what the guts of Beatrice's game board look like, right? Not really. After Will's rude answer, Bernkastel vanished into thin air, leaving behind an obnoxious laugh. After clicking his tongue, Will turned around unhappily. When he did, it felt as though his gaze had crossed that of a shadow standing right in front of him, near the door that led outside.
Who is it?
Pardon me. I heard a voice, so I wondered who it was.
Ah, Shannon. So you're running the reception desk this time.
Yes. I've been taking it in turns with Kanekun to run the reception desk.
And Cannon?
A short while ago, he was ordered by, Leon-sama to take a break, so he's resting now.
So, you don't know Leon either?
Huh? No, that's not...
Ushirimiya Leon is the successor, the one who wears the silver ring. Why are you stumbling over that name when you've worked here for 10 years?
That's...
Don't worry, I don't recognize Leon either. Kraus is supposed to be the successor. Jessica is supposed to be his only child. There hasn't been a single fragment with anyone named Leon in the Ushirimiya family. When she realized that Will didn't recognize Leon either, Shannon relaxed. Apparently, she was a bit relieved to find that she wasn't going crazy by herself. However, her expression quickly grew uncertain once more.
Where is this place? I think it's the Ushirimiya family chapel. However, something feels different. Also, I never knew that someone named Leon-sama existed. And yet, Madame Kraus-sama, the Master Milady, and all other relatives all talk as though it's perfectly natural. I just don't understand what's happening.
Leon is a piece placed by Bernkastel. She also said that, in order to place that piece, she switched over to a larger cat box. On top of that, it seems this world isn't a proper world, but one made out of several different fragments sewn together. It's as though this is a special stage, set up specifically for this game. I'm sure she's nodding at my thoughts right now, laughing and chomping down popcorn. How long have you worked here in this world?
10 years.
I see. So it really is a special stage. After all, right when I entered the chapel, I spotted Kinzo. Since Shannon has been working here for 10 years, this world takes place in 1986, the stage of Beato's game. In that case, Kinzo shouldn't exist. However, he definitely was here a few minutes ago. Bernkastel promised that all of the information needed for reasoning was gathered here. She must have really packed it together to fit everything in. I see. So it's really a special stage. You've served the Ushirimiya family for many years, so just how much do you know about Beatrice?
I know the master loved her deeply, but other than that...
Is that all?
They say that she's the master of Rekenjima's knight.
That's right. The name of the ghost rumored to wander the mansion night after night is also Beatrice. That brings the number of Beatrices to 3. The first is the Beatrice from more than 30 years ago, who is said to have given Kinzo the gold. The second is the Beatrice from 20 years ago who met Rosa. The third is the Beatrice of the ghost stories who is rumored to be the master of the night on Rekenjima. Furuta Erika's reasoning was probably correct. It started out as a legend of evil spirits on Rekenjima. Later on, elements such as Kinzo's occult hobbies, the name and the portrait of the mysterious woman Beatrice, and the epitaph got mixed in, and it was all integrated into the legend of the Golden Witch. Then the darkness of the night gained the personality of a witch. That's the third Beatrice. This became the veil for the serial murders. Apparently, she didn't understand a word of Will's sudden monologue. Shannon tried to follow along, but she seemed to be having difficulty. Don't waste your time trying to understand. You'll just get a headache.
My apologies.
Cannon doesn't know Leon either, right?
Yes. Cannon was the same as me.
Shannon and Cannon, is it? Call Cannon over here. I want to talk to the pair of you about something. When Will said these words, Shannon's face went blank and her eyes went wide.
My apologies. We aren't allowed to leave the reception desk unmanned, so I can't leave to go get him.
Then find a replacement and have them take over the reception desk until you get back. You, me, and Cannon. We, the three people who don't know Leon, need to talk.
We've been told that one person is enough to run this reception desk.
But no one told you there was anything wrong with 2 people manning it, right?
Well, no one happens today, so we were told that having 2 people at the reception desk would be unnecessary.
Who gave you that order? Kinzo? Kraus? Or was it Leon? I will check with them.
It was the one who orders me. I cannot disobey orders.
Who is this person? I'll negotiate with them.
You cannot negotiate. It is the one who orders us.
Call Cannon over here. I hate the theater-going just as much as I hate torture. Slowly, Will pulled his right hand out of his pocket. When he slowly opened his fist, a small bright glow emanated from it. The flower petal given to him by Bern Castell had become a glowing sparkling mark on his hand. He held that hand out towards Shannon and slowly approached her. Call Cannon. I want to check something with you two.
I cannot call him. Do you still want me to?
If you don't call him, I'm going to use my authority.
If you insist, I can call him. Especially for you, but
There was some kind of incomprehensible tension between the two. Will stood there with his left hand still in his pocket and his right palm glowing and outstretched towards her. Shannon just stood there, her hand still folded politely in front of her, her posture beautiful, and yet it felt oddly as though windswept drops of rain were sparking and crackling in midair.
I will go call Cannon. You absolutely certain?
Will's expression had remained unchanged the whole time. Shannon's face was still kind and gentle, and yet the tension was as icy as a frozen lake. Beginners in chess will sometimes move their king into check without noticing it. One might mercilessly capture the king in this situation, but high-level players are supposed to calmly tell their opponent about their mistake. If you take one more step, you'll get captured. This was similar to that. I see. So after all... I get it. That's enough. You guys can take it in turns to run the reception desk. Slowly, Will lowered his hand.
Thank you for understanding.
The glow slowly vanished from Will's palm. That completely incomprehensible tension melted away like a sugar cube in water. However, nothing had changed since the beginning. Will's expression and Shannon's expression were the same as they had always been.
Oh, are you leaving?
Footsteps approached them. He was Leon. Just having a casual conversation. I wanted to ask her something.
What could that be? Did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah.
I'm honored to have been of service. That's a shame. If you were looking for an umbrella, I could have gotten you one right away.
Did you convince Kinzo?
I told him that a rare guest wanted to greet him. He says he'll meet with you.
Did you tell him that I wanted to ask about Beatrice?
Isn't that your job?
With a slightly mischievous look, Leon turned away. Will scratched his head and shrugged, looking annoyed. Ah, well, guess I'll get a chance to try this out at least. Will opened his right hand and showed it to Leon. It was just a hand without anything remotely remarkable about it. Leon's head tilted to the side in bafflement at this strange gesture.
Good work. Wait, your name was... It's Shannon. That's right, Shannon. Please take it over at the reception desk. And make sure you keep warm. Thank you very much, Leon-sama.
Shannon bowed deeply in response to Leon's kind words. There was not even a trace of tension in her manner.
Let's go, Will. The head's mood changes quicker than the autumn sky. Good luck!
Here we go. What was that all about?
Is that the, canon doesn't actually exist?
That's what we call the Shannon blue screen of death.
What's Shannon blue screen of death? When she's like,
responding properly.
Wait, was that the end of a chapter?
Yep.
Oh.
Basically, this is a hint. It is a big one, but I mean, it is the episode. So what are you saying?
I can't remember.
Shannon and Cannon seem to not know Leon, and Leon seems to not know them.
It's a mystery.
Why did Shannon have that response? Like, what
Well,
triggered
I
it?
was saying before because maybe Canon and Shannon can't coexist together.
As in, like, in what way?
Well, maybe Shannon is canon.
It's like
Just
why I
a
was asking
theory.
you.
Just a
It's like why I was
theory.
asking you why, like, out of the 3 couples from the last episode, only one of them can succeed.
Yeah.
And then there's this. I haven't like checked it out myself, but I assume it's correct. There's like apparently for like the first 4 games, since Battler's the detective there,
Yeah.
Battler doesn't. He's never in the same room as both Cannon and Shannon at the same time.
Oh.
So like
Okay.
every time like Shannon's playing cards with the cousins, she'll like go back to the servants' room and then Cannon will come and play cards with them.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
Is she living a double life?
It's just something to think about.